So one of the major standard approach for model identification in time series is through application of autocorrelation function and partial autocorrelation function. It's popularly called as ACF and PACF. So autocorrelation is the correlation between your actual values measured at different time periods. For example, you might be having a value measure for today. So you can call that as a YT. And the value measured for yesterday, it is YT minus 1. So you can try to find out the correlation between these two variables. The demand for the breakfast in the cafeteria of a hospital for today and yesterday. You can try to, find out the correlation between today's demand and yesterday's demand. Or you can just, try to find out the correlation between two values, like for today's and 2 days before. So that is your T minus 3. Okay, YT and YT minus 3. Or I can try to predict the demand for breakfast in the hospital cafeteria for today, which is Monday, with previous Monday, previous week's Monday. So here in that case, it's going to be YT and YT minus 7. Okay, so in that case, here the lag is going to be 7. Lag is denoted by the variable K. Okay. So to find out the autocorrelation of a particular lag, K is given by rho K. Okay. The formula for this is summation of YT minus K minus mean value multiplied by YT minus the mean value divided by summation of YT minus the mean value of Y the whole square. Okay. So where n is your total number of observations, K is your lag, Y bar is your mean, YT is your actual value, YT minus K is your, the variable observed over a period of time. It can be T minus 7 or T minus 1 or anything. Okay. Hope you're able to understand the formula for autocorrelation. So autocorrelation is the correlation between your actual value measured at different time periods. Okay, this indicates the memory of a process, that is how far in time can it remember what has happened before. Okay, so the plot of this autocorrelation for different values of lags is called as autocorrelation function, or it is otherwise called as correlogram. Okay, so this autocorrelation plot can be called as ACF or correlogram. We'll just see a small example for that. Before that, so how could you, test whether your autocorrelation for a particular lag is is 0 or not? Is it significant or not? So for that we have to form an hypothesis. So we have a null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Okay, this hypothesis can be carried out to check whether this autocorrelation and partial autocorrelation values are different from 0 or not. Okay, so in the null hypothesis, we are assuming the autocorrelation function value is 0. In the alternate hypothesis, we are assuming the autocorrelation value is not equal to 0. Okay, so we'll be using the formula of 1.96 divided by square root of n formula to reject your null hypothesis or accept it. Okay, so my autocorrelation should be always equal to, should be less than or greater than 1.096 divided by square root of n to reject your null hypothesis. Okay, so based on the number of observations, for example, in our DAD breakfast prediction data set, we had n equal to 150. So we apply that and then we get a value, and then we try to find out whether there is a significantly difference available or not, and then we go for it. Okay, to select the appropriate, you know, autocorrelation in the auto-regression model, this can be like used. So when you plot your ACF for your breakfast prediction, breakfast demand prediction, so that's how we get. So the lag, here you have the lag number, and then here you have the ACF values. So for the lag 1, I mean the values is kind of above the confidence limit. So this is these two lines are your confidence limit. Okay, when you take one lag, I mean when you're trying to find out the correlation between immediate variables, your lag is kind one, but the value is kind of high. Whereas when you like go to lag 2, your value is like around 0. So in this case, you can just go with the lag 2. Okay. To select the appropriate lag, you have to use this auto-regressive model. To select the appropriate lag in any of the methods, you in either auto-regressive or moving average, that we'll be discussing later. You can use this method. So you might be a little confused why are we discussing about ACF and PACF right now. But when you understand this only, you can be able to relate better to your auto-regressive model or moving average or ARIMA models. Okay, so this is your ACF graph looks like. So always your the value should be like within the confidence limit, and accordingly you can choose your lag numbers. So here we can choose lag is equal to 2. Okay. So now we'll discuss about partial autocorrelation. So this in partial autocorrelation, we are trying to find out the correlation between the actual value with the yt minus k values. Here we are removing the linear independence between the intermediate values. So there in the previous in our ACF model, we always rely on all the values. That's why we are taking up the mean. Okay, here we don't rely on our intermediate values. For example, when you're trying to find out the autocorrelation between the Monday's breakfast demand, you just use only the 2 Monday data. You not be relying on any other day's data. Okay. So the plot for this partial autocorrelation is called as partial autocorrelation function or PACF. Okay. So this partial autocorrelation of lag is autocorrelation between the two variables after removal of their interdependence of other variables in between. Okay, for example, we have k is equal to 7. Okay, so yt, we are trying to identify the relationship between only these two variables. We are not trying to include the other variables within. Okay, so you are removing the Tuesdays, which is t+1, Wednesdays, which is t+2. So we are kind of removing everything. So here yt plus k is today's value. Yt is previous Monday's value. I hope you are able to understand this. So here also we are trying to test the hypothesis by assuming partial autocorrelation is equal to 0 or not 0 through declaring null and alternate hypothesis. So here partial autocorrelation is represented by rho pk, whereas autocorrelation is represented by rho k. Okay, so you're using the same a hypothesis to reject or accept a null hypothesis. So here the partial autocorrelation function should be greater than 1.96 divided by square root of n to reject the null hypothesis. Okay, so when you like plot your graph for PSCF, so the first and second, lags, you can see the risk like values are like lying above confidence limit. So you can just like take it up for lag 3. Okay, it is kind of a little closer to 0 and it is within the confidence limit. Okay. So here you can have k equal to 3. Okay. Hope you are able to like understand how you can find out the order for order of k for autocorrelation or partial autocorrelation. So we were like trying to figure out how many values of p or the number of lags can be used in any of the forecasting methods. So this is a very, very important task in any of the forecasting models. Okay, so far we have been discussing about autocorrelation function, partial autocorrelation function. So why are we like discussing about this? So this method helps us to identify the value of p, the number of lags. Okay, so here we can just say L is equal to 3, whereas here we can just say L is equal to 2. Okay, so just to identify the lag number or the p value, we are trying to find out the we're trying to apply the autocorrelation function, partial autocorrelation function. We plot it and then we get it. Okay, that's a major reason. That's the only thing that we are discussing so far. Okay, so next one is we have to like work to identify whether the time series data is stationary or not. Okay, so whenever that you have a data with you, most of the times we assume that your data is stationary and then you just go on and apply a forecasting model. But when your data was non-stationary, when you apply your autocorrelation function or partial autocorrelation function, you may not be able to get a right graph so that you can find out your lag number. So to find out whether your data is stationary or not, you have to check your mean, your variance, and covariance. So if your data is stationary, your mean value will always be constant over a period of time. And your variance will also be constant over a period of time. And the covariance between the two variables over two different periods depends only on the lag, k, but not on the time. The covariance here depends only on the lag and not on the time t. So when your data follows this, you can say your time series data is stationary. Okay, so when the time series data is not stationary, which is like if any one of the above conditions are not satisfied, we have to convert your non-stationary time series data into stationary data before we apply any of this autoregressive or moving average or any of the methods. Okay. So this is how your ACF plot looks like when you have a non-stationary data. It will not be, your number will not be, the row value will not be within the confidence limit, so that you cannot identify a lag number. So here you can't see the lag number here, right? So but here when you make your data stationary, you can find your lag very easily. Okay, so that's a major reason we are converting your data into non-stationary and from non-stationary to stationary. Okay, how do we convert this non-stationary data into stationary? So we just know whether your data is stationary or not by computing mean and variance and covariance. We compute mean, and then we find if your mean is not constant over a period of different values, we say your data is not stationary. Otherwise, you can compute your variance over different time periods, and if it is not constant, you can say your data is not stationary. So you call that as a homoscedasticity. So hope you believe that you know what is homoscedasticity and heteroscedasticity. You have to have your variances over different time periods constant. You would have to have your data homoscedasticity. Okay. So white noise. I think white noise actually it's nothing but your residuals, right? I believe you know what is residuals or errors. So it is it's actually usually when you have the residuals which are unpopulated and always they follow normal distribution, right? With mean zero and constant standard deviation. So we will be like using um, the errors which follows this white noise. Okay, so this is your error graph for ACF, I mean residual ACF and residual PCF. It's always within the confidence limit. Okay, okay. So we'll just like summarize what are the things that we have discussed right now before we can get into the different techniques of time series. First, you have to know autocorrelation. What is autocorrelation? It's nothing but a correlation of a variable observed at two different points. When your data is like correlated with each other at different time point. So this is called autocorrelation. It is measured just to find out the number of lags that you can have in your model. Okay, so you can like plot your autocorrelation and call that as a correlogram or ACF. So this is tested by creating hypothesis. Okay, you can like work on hypothesis to identify whether you can reject or accept it. Okay, so this is how your ACF plot looks like, and always the ACF value should be like lying within your confidence limits. Partial autocorrelation is like it's the same autocorrelation, whereas here you're like eliminating your intermediate values dependency. Okay, so here you can call that function as partial autocorrelation function of PACF. Here also you're following the same hypothesis as your autocorrelation function, and here also the same thing. The value should be like lying with your confidence limit to identify the lag number, and you have to convert your non-stationary data into stationary data to apply your autocorrelation functions. Okay, so if you don't have your data stationary, you cannot able to find out the number of lags. So you have to convert your data stationary non-stationary data into stationary. Okay, so yes, in the next class we will just discuss how we can able to like convert your non-stationary data into stationary. It's very easy. You just have to like do some differentiation. Okay, you just have to like differentiate your data to okay, and the order of differentiation should be only less than 2. Okay, it's not more than that. Okay, so here the first difference is actually you're calculating the difference between the two consecutive values of time series, and when you can just go on for a second order difference, but mostly it should be like always less than or equal to 2. Okay, we'll be like discussing in detail when you go for ARIMA models. Okay, so don't worry about that right now. Okay, so far we just discussed what is ACF, PACF, and how you plot that, and what should be the values and how it should lie within the confidence limits and how to determine the number of flags. Only for that we are doing everything. So once you're like get thorough with this, we can comfortably move on to the time series techniques like autocorrelation, moving average, and many more. If you got any questions, you can ask me right now.